Well, first things first with Jrue Holiday, you got to give a lot of credit to Drew's agent for getting him this significant amount of money over the next 4 years. I mean, in my eyes, I don't know if Jrue Holiday is worth $40 million a year like this contract stipulates. I think he's more probably like around maybe the 25 to $30 million a year range. But with that said, though, I think this is overall a good deal for both the Milwaukee Bucks and Jrue Holiday. And it kind of shows me that it looks like that these three guys in Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo are going to be the pieces that Mike Budenholzer is going to work with to try to get Milwaukee into championship contention. And the issues really with this team, I never really think are in the regular season. They're a great regular season performing team. It's always been about the playoffs, whether it was against Toronto's in the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years back, and even in the second round of the playoffs last year. The Milwaukee Bucks have never been really able to kind of figure out how to win when Giannis is not dominating the game, because Toronto was able to lock him down in that playoff series in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then last year, now granted, Giannis got hurt in the second round of the playoffs last year, but even before then, the Bucks were struggling. And it was basically in part that the defense that they were going up against would just lock down on Giannis and force other guys to beat them. And with the rest of the Bucks, I think Chris Middleton is a solid two player. Is he what I would consider a superstar in this league? No. I would say the same thing for Jrue Holiday, but Jrue, his greatest asset to his game is that he's one of the best two-way players in the game, and his defensive presence, I think, is going to be key as Milwaukee marches towards the end of the regular season and goes into the playoffs. That's, I think, the theme here that I'm going to take away with this signing of Jrue Holiday is that it tells me that Milwaukee is going to build this team around defense. Don't get me wrong, this team can score. In the regular season, they have no problem with doing that. They're one of the more efficient teams in the league at that. But when it comes to playoffs, they're gonna have to go up against the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Both teams can score. However, I think to counter that, the only way that I think the Bucks are going to be able to make this work in the playoffs is to make these games grimy and slow the pace of the game down. Because unless they are able to figure out how to get somebody open to knock down shots consistently in the playoffs with Giannis being locked up defensively, the Bucks aren't really going to be able to go anywhere as far as an offensive output goes. But defensively, if they can hold the other team, specifically with either the 76ers or the Nets, if they play them in a potential playoff series, I think that's the only way they're going to be able to win these games in the playoffs when it counts. So with the signing of Jrue Holiday, that's what it tells me, is that I think that they appreciate and love his defensive presence, but they're going to really need for him to step up going into the playoffs, especially on the defensive end. Don't get me wrong, Jrue could score. Is he a 25 points per game scorer on average? No. But can he average somewhere in between 18, possibly 20 points a game? Yeah. On a consistent basis, yeah, I think that he could do that. But they're going to really need his defensive presence down the stretch. And, I mean, look, you got these three guys in Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Jrue Holiday taking up probably over $100 million of their salary for the next couple of years. So that's their core, and that's what they're going to roll with. And do I think that it's a championship contending core? If you look at recent history, I don't think so. But with gained experience over the next couple of years, could they find themselves in a possible chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals with a trip to the finals on the line? Maybe. But I really do think that it all starts with Jrue's ability to play solid defense in their backcourt, and then obviously Giannis in the front court. So great for Jrue. I love the fact that he got this deal. He gets that long-term security that he was looking for. But what it tells me is that Milwaukee is going to have to turn up the defensive pressure now that they signed him. And when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to bank on defense, I think, carrying them more than the offense like they've been trying to do the last couple of years.
Jrue Holiday is a career 16 points per game scorer, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, nothing crazy. So, I mean, the man is definitely a valuable asset to any team. The reason why he got the money, in my opinion, I don't know, like I said, Kyle and I were talking about it, is solely because of his ability later in his career. Currently, he's having a great season. He's averaging 17, 5 and 5, just about. He's shooting over 50% from the field and 39% from the 3-point line, and 81.5% from the free throw line. I think that the defense solely got him this contract because he gives Milwaukee a way to kind of lock down. You already have a defensive player of the year in Giannis Antetokounmpo on this team. You just signed PJ Tucker, a gritty guy that can guard pretty much all positions 1 through 5. You have Jrue Holiday. Chris Middleton's a solid defender. So I think I see what Milwaukee's doing here, kind of just trying to lock down their big pieces and help them win over time. I don't know if $40 million is, I don't know, the right direction that you should have gone on. I mean, I don't know if he's the top choice, but again, he has proved that he can be a viable option on both sides of the basketball for Milwaukee. And overall, I think he's one of the most disrespected players in the league. Never given enough credit. A lot of NBA vets are out there talking about how he deserves it. And a lot of people, former and current players have said he's the best defender in basketball. So, I mean, it really depends on who you ask. I know Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson talked about him being disrespected and in a lieu of other podcasts and other shows. So Jrue got the bag. Kudos to him. And he's doing what he's got to do, man. Milwaukee has turned it around this season and they're winning games. So, I mean, it works for him. It's just I see that the price tag is just a little too high because he arguably is making more money than LeBron James this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that that's crazy.